Welcome back to Commentaries in Psoriasis. For this discussion, we are joined by John Latella, a patient who has had psoriasis for 46 years and psoriatic arthritis for 36 years. And our clinical panel, Jerry Bagel of the Psoriasis Treatment Center of Central New Jersey, and Melody Young of Modern Dermatology, part of the Baylor Health System in Dallas, Texas. Thank you for joining in the panel today. We'll be discussing patient perspectives on psoriasis and how the interaction between patients and clinicians can help patients cope with this difficult disease. When we think about psoriasis, we think about a chronic disease that has both emotional and physical aspects that affect patients' quality of life. In looking at our first study, we look at psoriasis and how it looks compared to other chronic diseases on an SF-36, which is a disability scale. And I remember the first time I looked at this data and saw that psoriasis had both emotional and physical disability associated that was greater than other chronic diseases. I had a little question about it, particularly in dealing with the issue of emotionally being more significant than cancer. Jerry, you've been seeing patients for many years. How do you feel about this data?
You know, at first thought, I agree with you, but once you start thinking about it, you think that the average psoriatic, the chronicity of their disease, it can start at the age of 20 and it can go on for 5 or 6 decades. And it's chronic, the emotional impact that's going on for long periods of time, loss of self-esteem, anxiety, increase in depression, going along with the emotional aspects for long periods of time. You can see how that can take a toll on someone much greater than a disease that's of shorter duration. In addition, the pain, the bleeding, the itching that's going on persistently, not to mention the psoriatic arthritis, has a major impact on the physical well-being of the individual.
Now, John, you've probably heard the line, the heartbreak of psoriasis, said someone in a laughing tone, and potentially, people saying, it's not like it's cancer or heart disease, it's only a skin disease. As someone who's suffered from the condition, what do you think of when you hear people make comments like that?
I get angry, absolutely angry. It's frustrating that people are so undereducated about our disease. In addition to anger, I have embarrassment about my condition and about the way I look. The more I get into it, the more defensive I get and the more inward I could become if I let myself. So I had to train myself to be, as an introvert, to be an extrovert, to come out of myself, come out of my shell and live my life, even with the disease.
I have an interesting experience along these lines. When I moved to a new university once, my psoriasis center wasn't built yet, and so I was working in a cancer center. And when I was working in the cancer center, my psoriasis patients would come in, and the cancer patients would move away from them. And then when the cancer patients would go through the door to enter into their area where they get clinical care, they had 3 social workers. So while the cancer patients had a horrible disease for which they had emotional trauma, they at least had support. Psoriasis patients, people were moving away from them. Melody, do you see that happen in your office?
Absolutely, and I think it happens at all ages. And one of the things to kind of piggyback on to what Jerry was talking about is that this is a chronic disease, but it starts at a very young age. With the average age of onset in their 20s, you're looking at decades and decades of dealing with it, and it hits at a time that they're very concerned about visible diseases, and they are learning to camouflage the disease that they have. And I think one of the main things I learned when I look at this slide is that we never make assumptions about how much a disease affects a person, regardless of what it is. When you ask them, they'll tell you, and I think that's what this data shows us, is that they are very devastated emotionally and physically impacted by this disease, regardless of their age or type of disease.
That's an interesting point, because you mentioned the physical association with the disease. And we often talk about itch being an issue with patients with psoriasis. But John, in terms of the physical aspects of your disease and how it's affected you on a day-to-day basis when you were very severe, what can you tell us about the physical aspects of the disease, not just the emotional?
Well, one of the things that comes to mind is, our greeting in the United States has always been a handshake. And I had psoriasis that covered my back of my hand. And when you extended your hand to shake somebody's hand, it was always somebody pulling back, like, do I really want to do this? Is something going to happen if I do this? Am I going to catch this? And it was that hesitation that really threw you back. It really set you back. That well, I'll just put my hand down and I won't extend it to shake hands. It's a very difficult time to go through. because you were rejected, and we don't like to be rejected.
Jerry, do you have any comments what your patients tell you?
I think, one of the most poignant moments of my career happened about 10 years ago when I presented to 450 people at a National Psoriasis Foundation meeting. And their collective voice echoed that we did not know what it was like to live in their skin. We didn't know what it was like to live in their kids' skin, how they would not be able to sleep at night, how they, would go to work, but they really weren't effective, the term presenteeism, where you're trying to go to work, but you can't be effective because you didn't sleep well because you were itching and scratching or feeling really bad about yourself, or absenteeism, where you actually were in pain because you couldn't go to work. So, it's taken a long time for the medical community even to recognize the severity impact of this disease on individuals.
Now, when we talk about the impact of disease, sometimes we talk about it in different segments. We talk about quality of life, we talk an emotional impact, self-esteem, and physical aspects. If you had to judge on a daily basis what impacts more of your patients, would it be the emotional or the physical? And when we think about therapy, which area are we directing? Are we directing it towards treating the disease itself or treating the impact on the patient's quality of life?
I don't think you can separate the two. I'm not sure that you can separate the physical impact from the emotional impact. I think patients, they're both very, very real to a patient that has this disease. But when you clear them, it's always fun to see the change that it does affect in their quality of life, from what they're wearing, the way they're interacting with their friends or in whatever their activities are. If they're a cheerleader and have had to stop cheering because their patches of psoriasis are visible and no one, I remember a patient very well, no one wanted to lift her, or a person who swims, or a person who's about to leave for college, and nobody wants to be their roommate because they think the disease is so messy and it's very embarrassing and scale everywhere. I honestly, I'm not sure that you can just look at just treating the physical component, because if you get the physical component better, I do believe that it has a positive impact on the emotional component, as has been shown by a lot of the research.
Yeah. Now, Jerry, I have a question along those lines, because oftentimes we notice that the physical component, the amount of disease, doesn't correlate particularly well with the amount of physical disease and the emotional impact and the quality of life issues associated with it. When you talk to a patient and trying to assess them and how severely the disease is affecting them, do you have any kind of quality of life evaluation that you do to try to figure that?
Yeah, I based it on initially the Kuhn-Mentor scale. And I looked at the Kuhn-Mentor scale and I gave it out to 100 new psoriasis patients that came into my office. And then I had the data analyzed by a medical statistician. And the points of the Kuhn-Mentor scale were most significant were bleeding, itching, and not sleeping. So therefore, I asked each individual, after I palpate their skin to let them know that I know that they're not contagious and they know that they're not contagious, I ask them those questions because there's such subjectivity. You can have an 18-year-old girl with 3 plaques that's really freaking out. And you can have a 65-year-old guy with 20% of body surface area that's kind of had adjusted his life already and not seemed to be as emotionally impaired. So I ask people questions like, do you wear different clothing in the summertime to cover up your skin? And just asking that question is something other people generally have not, so you've bonded with that individual. But going back to what Melanie said, the physical component and the emotional component are clearly related. But I do believe that the best approach to the emotional component is to clear their skin. Having said that, studies have shown that even when a patient with psoriasis skin is clear, they still have an emotional component that's persistent. Unfortunately, there's some validity to that because it's a chronic disease and will probably come back in some form without proper treatment.
Now, John, I want to change gears just a little bit because you said something before that I found interesting. You were talking about the psoriasis on your hands. And one of the parts of quality of life that psoriasis impacts is economic quality of life. And Jerry's mentioned work productivity and things like that. Can you tell us a little bit about how your psoriasis, in your mind, affected your employment and your ability to work?
I have tried over the years not to let it affect me. There were times when I went to work in absolute pain, only because I knew I had to be there. I think, I can't prove it, that because of my psoriasis, I was passed over for promotions, although I can't prove that the case. And I think it was purely the way I looked, the psoriasis. It was just the impact that I had on people. I wasn't perfect. I didn't look like everybody else. I was different. However, I will mention that back in 2005, when I finally was clean, everything changed. I was looked at differently. I finally could wear shorts. I finally could wear short-sleeve shirts, even though I had maybe a few plaques left. And my whole demeanor was different. And the way people looked at me was different. They didn't look at me having something that was contagious. So yeah, those two are connected, the emotional and the physical, tremendously. And with work, that's what happened to me.
Now, John, you just mentioned a really critical word that we all face in treating psoriasis patients, and psoriasis patients face all the time. That's the word clean. It's a loaded word in psoriasis. And Melody, when you hear a patient talk about cleanliness, and I think it's a word that is very involved in the way people view psoriasis patients, and sometimes how psoriasis patients view themselves. How do you discuss that with patients to try to impress upon them that it's not an issue of cleanliness or infection?
You know, it's very heartbreaking for me when I just heard him use that word clean, because I thought, you know, he's, I assume, associating that with finding a therapy that cleared you adequately. So he's associating clean and clear as the same thing. And it's very sad, because that makes me think that for many, many decades of his life that he considered himself unclean. And we know that this disease has nothing to do with hygiene. And you think of unclean as being something that makes you a social outcast, and that really fits with some of the descriptions that he's given today, and with some of the things that patients feel. They talk about the scale, and they talk about taking their own sheets when they go to someone's house to spend the night because they don't want the bloody sheets afterwards, or taking their own little mini vacuum to clean up the scales in the bathroom. I've heard those stories for a couple of decades, and it's very sad. And again, it goes back to just asking patients and listening to the words that they're using to describe the pain, physically and emotional pain that's associated with this disease, and seeing what we can't do to make a difference.
Well, I also believe what you say, and since the antiquity, psoriatics were put in leper colonies in the Middle East in 2,500 years ago. It's been written about even in the Bible. Mm-hmm. And, you know, unfortunately, you know, back then they didn't know the difference between a contagious disease and a non-contagious disease. Yes, they lumped them together, but I think the stigma of leprosy in some ways, an infection, still exists within people with psoriasis, and more unfortunately with people that don't have psoriasis. And this is where a lot of education still needs to be directed to nurses, schools, society, to help people recognize that this is not a contagious disease. Because otherwise, as you said, you know, you don't feel clean, i.e. I feel dirty, I have something contagious, which you don't. This is something that has not been dismissed.